All right, on tomorrow's quiz. I know it's a math day. Your quiz is only 4 questions long. Don't freak out like, oh my gosh, I missed one. Don't freak out. There's little parts to each one. I will tell you, just like it says up here, exactly what I'm looking for. When I say direction of the parabola, I mean which way does it open? You guys would tell me which way, up or down. Okay, so I'm looking for up or down in that case. When I say determine the vertex, I want the x part, comma, the y part. How do you find the x part of the vertex? What's that little formula? Negative b, good, over 2a. Then once you find that, what do you do with that answer?
Plug it in.
You plug it in. All right, when I ask for the axis of symmetry, you guys already know that. Once you find the vertex, you can tell me what the axis of symmetry is. It's the x part of the vertex.
Do we just write it?
You need to write x equals whatever. If you just put a number, I'm taking points off. When I talk about a maximum or minimum, that's the y part of the vertex. So you guys would tell me, if it's a maximum, you would say max at y equals whatever. Minimum at y equals whatever. To find the x-intercepts, what do we plug in? Plug in 0 for what? For y. In that case, you're going to have to factor. To find the y-intercept, you do what? Plug in 0 for x. In that case, all you have to do is just look. And then you're going to graph it. Okay, now don't get too hung up about the graphing. You guys will be fine. It's not going to be worth a gajillion points. So let's just look at this first problem. You'll see how quickly you can answer these questions. First of all, which way does this parabola open? Okay, it opens up. How do you know that? Because x squared is positive, so it opens up. You guys can write an arrow. You can write the word up. I'm going to draw a little picture because when I do that, I'm showing myself that not only does my parabola open up, but I'm also showing you that I have a what? A minimum or a maximum? A minimum. There's a bottom. Okay, so the second thing is the vertex. So here's my A. So B is my vertex. How do we find the vertex? Negative b over 2a. So x equals negative 1 over 2 times 1. I told you your answers would be fine tomorrow. I'm not going to give you any crazy fractions and stuff. You have some here, but it's no big deal. So negative gives me a positive 1/2. The x part of my vertex is 1/2. What do I do with 1/2? Plug it in. So I'm going to say y equals 1/2 squared minus 1/2 minus 6. Now again, I'm not going to give you fractions tomorrow, so just bear with me. 1/2 squared is 1/4 because the 2 goes to both of these. Then I have minus 1/2 minus 6. Let's just turn everything into what's a common denominator between 1, 2, and 4. 4. So I have 1/4 minus. How do I change 1/2 into fourths? Multiply bottom by 2? Then I do what? Multiply the top by? So this becomes 2 over 4. Then I have minus. How do I change this into fourths? Multiply by 4. So you multiply the top. So 24. Okay. Again, I know these numbers are gross, but it's not going to be like this tomorrow. So now you just subtract. What's 1 minus 2? Negative 1 minus 24. Negative 25 over 4. So the y part of your vertex is negative 25 over 4. Now that's pretty much, other than factoring, that's pretty much the hardest part because now you just say, okay, the next question says after B, well, what's the axis of symmetry? So you would say AOS, you can say, is at x equals what? What's the x part of the vertex? 1/2. Identify a maximum or a minimum. You guys told me from the beginning it has a what? A minimum. So you would say minimum at y equals negative 25 over 4, whatever the y part of the vertex is. Now to find intercepts, where it crosses the x and y axis. If I find the x-intercept, I say x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. Factor that, guys. What are two numbers that multiply to give me -6 but add to give me -1? X minus 3 and x plus 2. So where are my x-intercepts? Positive 3, 0. Negative 2, 0. So my y-intercept. Where's my y-intercept? At -6. If I plug in 0 for x, so if I plug in 0 for x, my y-intercept's at -6. So now if you guys had to graph this, okay, don't freak out about graphing. Graph the intercepts. Where does the graph cross the x-axis? At positive 3, 0, and where else?
Negative 2, 0.
Negative 2, 0. Where does the graph cross the y-axis?
0, negative 6.
0, negative 6. And your vertex was at 1/2 negative 25 over 4, okay? That's a gross number, I understand that. 1/2 is like, say here, and then negative 25, it's just going to be like right there. So if I connected my dots in nice smooth curve, you guys see that you would just go something like this? Everybody see that? That's what I'm looking for in your graph. Your parabola needs to go in the right direction. If you drew this upside down, it would be wrong because the first step, you guys told me the parabola opened which way? Up, okay? So what I need you to do when you graph is to graph the x and y intercepts, where it crosses, and the vertex. It'll be nice, pretty whole numbers, though. I shouldn't say that. The intercepts may not be nice, pretty whole numbers, but you can figure out where those go in the line, but your vertex will be. So it's really easy for you to see. So let's go over to something like this. Okay, the first thing, where does this open, up or down?
Up.
How do you know it opens up? Because it's positive, good. So if I'm going to find my vertex, what's that tiny little formula that I have to use to find the vertex? So I have -6 over 2 times what? Ugh, this works out to be a fraction too. Hi, -6 over 4, which gives me what? No, you were right, -3 over 2.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
So I have -3 over 2. Again, guys, tomorrow I'll make this so it's nice and easy.
Yeah.
Not easy, but so the numbers are prettier. So how would I find the y? So I have 2 times -3/2 squared plus 6 times -3 over 2 plus 3. All right, so 2 times. What is -3 squared? 9. What is 2 squared? Okay. Plus, what happens with the 6 and the 2? You can. So this becomes a 3 and this becomes a 1.
Yeah.
So I have plus, what's 3 times -3? -9 plus 3. So here we can cross this out. So this becomes 9 over 2 minus 9 plus 3. Agreed?
Yeah.
If I change everything to seconds, this becomes 18. And this becomes 6. Just doing quick math. I know. I'm not really worried about you guys. Focus on the fractions. What's 9 minus 18? -9 plus 6.
-3.
So -3 over 2. All right, now you can identify everything else just by, let's just talk about it. What is the axis of symmetry, your AOS? Tell me how to write it. X equals -3 over 2. If you guys don't write x equals for axis of symmetry, I'm taking points off. What is the maximum or minimum? It's a minimum.
-3.
Minimum at what? Y equals -3 over 2. Yes, sir. No, I'm not going to give you any for the vertex. Maybe possibly for when you factor, but not for the vertex. Okay, y-intercept, guys. If I put in 0 for x, 0 for x, what's my y-intercept? 0, 3. My x-intercepts I'm going to factor, right? So 2x squared plus 6x plus 3 equals 0. A is not 1. So 2 times 3 is 6. Are there factors of 6 that multiply to give you 6 but add to give you 6? No. So you would have to use what? The quadratic formula. Guess what? I'm not giving you tomorrow. I'm not going to give you any that you have to do that. Not because I'm the nicest person in the world, but because for me to have to grade your graph on you guys having like 1 plus or minus the square root of 3. No, thank you.
They should use that mentality for all our quizzes.
No, because I'm just not that nice. I'm just the worst person in the world. All right, let's talk about this one. Which way does this one open?
Down.
How do you know this opens downward? Because it's negative. Good. Good. So if I'm going to find the vertex.
-2 over 2.
Okay, so -4 over 2 times -2.
Yep.
Right? So -4 over -4 equals +1. Guys, you have to be so careful. So careful with your signs. Because if this should have been +1 and you put -1. All right, you guys thought, oh, what's the big deal? Well, when you plug in a negative, when it should be a positive, you work it all out, your answer's going to be incorrect. So just make sure your numbers are good to go. So I have -2 times 1 squared plus 4 times 1 plus 10. That's going to give me my y. What is 1 squared? 1 times -2.
-2.
So I have -2 plus 4 plus 10. Work left to right. What's -2 plus 4? +2 plus 10.
12.
So y equals 12. So my vertex is at 112, okay? What is my axis of symmetry?
X equals 1.
Everybody, axis of symmetry. X equals 1. What is my minimum or maximum value?
Maximum at y equals 12.
Maximum at y equals 12. Anybody have questions about that? All right. Just by looking, can you tell me what my y-intercept is?
10. 0.
How did we get that?
Plug in 0.
If I plug in 0 here and 0 here, what's 0 squared?
0.
Times -2.
0.
Plus 4 times 0.
0.
So all you have to do is to identify the y-intercept. It's your constant at the end. So now we're going to factor. I gave you guys this problem for a reason. Okay, A is not 1, correct? Okay, so we want to take, we're going to have to do a little factoring here that may not be pretty. But what is the first thing you should do in a case like this?
Take out the GCF.
Okay, take out the GCF. If there wasn't a GCF and all it was a negative, what would I tell you to do with that negative?
Take out negative.
Take it out. You're going to change all the signs. But I do see a number that all of these have in common. What is it? 2. So if I take out a -2, I'm left with x squared, then what?
4x.
I took out -2. -2x, then what? -5 equals 0. Right? So now I have to factor. Are there factors of -5 that'll multiply to give me -5 but add to give me -2? No. So you have to use what? Quadratic formula. But like I said, I'm not giving you one tomorrow, so I'm not worried about that. But guys, what the whole purpose of this was because I wanted you to see if you lead with a negative, take it out. It changes all the signs, but it'll make your factoring easier. If there's a GCF, take it out so you don't have to worry about it.
So you
I
can
think it was Nunez the other day. He said, well, what do I do with that -2? What does that equal something? Okay, we take each little piece. We set equal to 0, right? If I say -2 equals 0, is that a true statement?
no.
No. So that's why you can just cross it out. If there was an x with it, -2x equals 0, well, yeah, you could find an answer there because you would do what to both sides? Divide by -2. So x would be 0. But that's not the case here. If it's just a number out in front, just leave it out in front. It's fine. Matt, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. All right. Are we done with those? No, we got one more. Okay. Same thing goes. Which way is this problem going to open? Up. How do you know that? Positive. Okay, good. I'm going to find the vertex. How do you find the vertex?
Negative B over 2A.
Negative B. So here's my B. Here's my A, right? Is there a C here? No? Who cares? So I have negative 4 over 2 times 1. So 4 over 2 gives me 2. So my vertex is at 2 comma something. How do I find the something?
Plug it in.
Plug 2 in. So I'm going to say y equals 2 squared minus 4 times 2. What is 2 squared?
4.
Minus what?
8.
So y equals
Negative 4.
-4. Everybody with me? Axis of symmetry. X equals 2. Good. Maximum or minimum?
Max.
Which way does it open? Up. So there's a what? At y equals -4. Good. Guys, what's the y-intercept? What's the constant at the end?
0.
0. Do you see a number there?
No.
So your y-intercept is 0, 0. Let's find the x-intercept. So you have x squared minus 4x equals what? 0. What do they have in common?
X.
Okay, take the x out. You're left with x minus 4. Correct?
Yeah.
Set each piece equal to 0. So I have an x-intercept at 0, 0. And I have an x-intercept at 4, 0. Right? Okay, so let's graph this one. I have to graph my y-intercepts, my x-intercepts, my vertex. So I have a point at 0, 0. I have one at 4, 0. Where's my vertex?
The vertex is 2 negative.
So go to... Now, do you see the points? If I connect them in a nice smooth curve, which way are they going to face? Upwards or downwards? Up, right? If I connect these in a nice smooth curve, which way does it go? Up. Which way did we say it was going to go at the very beginning? Up. We said that there was a minimum value at y equals -4. Is that the lowest that this graph goes? Yes. So tomorrow, really the only math actual computation you have to do is the negative b over 2a to find the x part of the vertex and then plug in. And then to factor it, which you guys have done seriously 100,000 times.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Sure. When you graph it, you just graph the intercepts and the vertex and then just connect the dots in a nice smooth line. Question? But check at the end before you go to turn it in, say, okay, wait a second. Which way should my parabola be opening? Because at the beginning, you're going to tell yourself which way it opens and then make sure that your parabola is going in that direction so you don't make any mistakes.
To get the y-intercept, did you just plug in 2?
To get the y-intercept, I plug in 0 for x.
Okay.
So if I plug in 0 here and 0 here,
Your y is equals.
it's whatever the constant is at the end is going to be your y-intercept.
And then to find x, you plug in 0 for y.
Mm-hmm. All right, you'll have 2 questions. Yes, sir.
What if it's like one up, one down? What would be the minimum max for that?
Say it again.
If it's like one up and then one down, like what would be the minimum max for that?
It's not good. All of them are going to be parabolas. Everything. For end behaviors, okay, you guys are going to have to find the zeros, which just means factor, and tell me the end behaviors. For most of you, you guys were doing pretty good with this. End behaviors. Let's remind ourselves what to do. How do you find end behaviors when you have a problem like this? Look at the biggest exponent. I have a 4. 4 is what kind of a number? Even. Watch, I'm going to write this. Even. When I think of even, I think of same. Same direction. Are both of my arrows going up or both of them going down? Why both up? Because the 2 is positive. So you would tell me that it's rising left and rising right. I think I did like this, like so there's 2 lines. So you can tell me what's going on one side, what's going on the other. That's what your end behavior is. And then how do I figure out what the zeros are? You factor. Finding the zeros just means to factor. First thing I look for is GCF. Is there one?
Well, next.
Yeah, I could take an X out of everything, right? Okay, so I'm going to take that out. Then I'm left with 2x cubed minus x squared minus 18x plus 9 equals 0. Correct? Okay. Now what?
Split it up into two.
Split up into 2. We're going to group it. Do you notice how I kept that negative sign with the 18? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So my x is still hanging out outside. What can I take out of 2x cubed and x squared?
X cubed.
I could take out an x squared, right? I gotcha. So you have 2x minus 1.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What can I take out of negative 18 and a positive 9?
9.
What kind of 9?
Positive.
Take out the negative. If it leaves with a negative, take it out. So then, look at my parenthesis is now 2x minus 1, right? Which is what we want. Do you see these leftovers out here?
Yeah.
What do they get?
They're on parentheses.
Okay, so I still have my x. My GCF right here of 2x minus 1, I write it one time. Now it's gone.
And x squared minus
And then x squared minus 9 gets its own parenthesis.
set it equal to 0.
I can set equal to 0, or I could factor x squared minus 9 a little bit, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And get what? X plus 3x minus 3. If you see that, fantastic. If you don't, no worries. Set each parenthesis equal to 0. X equals 0. 2x minus 1 equals 0. X squared minus 9 equals 0. So x equals 0. That's one of them, yes? Okay, we're good. What does x equal here? Positive 1/2. Move that negative over, right? Add 1, then divide by 2. So x equals 1/2. And then what about here?
X equals plus or minus 3.
Ooh, Borja, plus or minus 3. Very good. Guys, at the very beginning, what was our highest exponent?
Like 2.
What was the highest exponent we had? 4.
Right there.
So that tells me what we should have. We should have 4 zeros. Do I have 4 answers?
Yeah.
Yep. That plus or minus equals 2 different answers. Yep.
I like grouped it from the start, and I still got the same answer.
That's fine.
Oh.
That's fine. All right, let's look at this one. End behavior. Look at the exponent. What is the biggest exponent you see?
3.
And that is what kind of a number?
Odd.
All right, I think you right odd, and then I think of what?
Opposite.
Opposite. Very good. Is it negative x cubed or positive?
Negative.
Negative. Which way does a negative line slope?
Fall right.
Slopes downwards, right? Good, Borja. So what? Tell me from left to right. What's going on the left side of the graph?
Rising.
It's rising, right, and doing what?
Isn't
Ah, sorry. Thanks, guys. Thank you. I was asking the next question in my head, but forgot to write. So it's rising on the left, good, and then falling,
right.
good. Right? Rising left, falling right. Now we go back to finding the zeros. We factor. We've done this so many times. You guys are getting so good at it. GCF, what do they have in common?
X.
An x. What kind of x should I take out?
Negative.
I'm going to take out a negative one. So all of my signs will change. So this becomes x squared plus 2x minus 8, correct? All right. Can I factor that? Are there factors of negative 8 that multiply to give me negative 8 but add to give me 2?
4 and 2.
Okay, so x plus 4, x minus 2. Agreed? Yes? Okay, so now set each one equal to 0. So in my first case, negative x equals 0. X equals 0. In my second case, x plus 4 equals 0. X equals? Awesome. In my third case, x minus 2 equals 0. X equals? 2. Good. Good. We're almost done. Dos más. End behavior. Biggest exponent you see is?
5.
Ooh, when I see a 5, I think of what 2 words?
Odd number.
Odd and
Opposite.
opposite. Good. This is a positive x to the 5th or a negative one? Positive. So which way does a positive line go?
Up.
Upwards. So what's happening on the left? What's happening on the right?
Falling left, rising.
Falling left, rising right. Correct? You're doing great. So I have x to the 5th minus 16x cubed equals 0. First thing I look for is GCF. What do they both have in common?
X cubed.
Take out an x cubed. I'm left with x squared minus 16. Ooh, we like those. Can I factor x squared minus 16 more?
Yeah.
Yes, I get x plus 4 and x minus 4. If you guys don't see that, you just say, hey, I just want to set it equal. Fine. X cubed equals 0. X squared minus 16 equals 0. To get x by itself, you take the cube root, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What is the cube root of 0?
0.
So x equals 0 3 times. And then here, I'd have x equals, what kind of 4? Plus or minus 4. Good. So I have 2 answers there. I actually have 3 answers there. Just remember, we don't have plus or minus 0. We all right? Okay, last one. Excuse me. End behavior.
Fine.
It's even, so it's
Same.
same. Good. That means they're both doing what?
Fine.
Why?
Because negative.
Good. So you would say falling left, falling right. Find the zeros. Negative 2x squared plus 98 equals 0. Guys, here's a hint. If I give you something like this and you don't have a calculator, what 2 probably goes into 98, right?
Yeah.
Is there a little clue there for you? What kind of a 2 can I take out of both negative 2x squared and positive 98? If I take out just a negative 2, there's no x with it, right? I'm left with x squared. If I divide this by negative 2, it's minus 49. Can I factor x squared minus 49? To what? X plus 7, x minus 7. Again, if you don't see this, some of you will. You'll say x minus 7, x plus 7 equals 0. Perfect. If you don't see that, you'd have negative 2, and then you'd have x squared minus 49 equals 0. That's fine. If I set this equal to 0, does negative 2 ever equal 0? No. So then you don't even have to worry about it. So I have x's at plus or minus 7 in both cases. So x equals plus or minus 7. Perfect. Hi. So if you were going to graph it, you don't have to. But if you were, right? If you were, you would have a point here at negative 7. You'd have a point at positive 7. And which way would my parabola go? Down. It would be something like this. But you'd also have your vertex. But guys, that's it. It's a very, very straightforward quiz. I told you for your vertexes, I'm not going to give you any fractions because there's just no need to do that right now. It would be pretty whole numbers.
I appreciate you.
No problem. I appreciate you. So we're good? All right, your job.